I hope you're prepared to hear from four of our brightest students about their learning journeys so far at CHS, their approaches to making the most of student exchange programs, internships, and research work opportunities available at NUS, as well as about the residential college experience and others. So I'm sure you can't wait to hear from them. So without further ado, let me hand the time to the students who will be the stars of the session. Anisha, Hannah, Michelle, and Jeremy, please take it away.
Hi, everyone. We hope to give you a real BTS look at how we've used the CHS Common Curriculum to build our own unique academic identities. So we'll start off by explaining our journeys academically in CHS and then what the curriculum has given us beyond the academic portion. So a little bit more about myself first. My name is Anisha, and I'm a year four psychology major, but I'm also pursuing minors in data analytics and Spanish. So I'm a little bit all over the place. I grew up as an international kid, which made my transition to NUS quite different because it was an entirely new system of education. And it was, quite daunting for me. But a few fun facts about me is that I like to treat Milo like coffee, so I need at least 2 to 3 a day to live. Other than that, I've loved traveling since young and have traveled to around 21 countries before the age of 21. And my end goal in life is to give therapy to the incarcerated, which is a topic that I'll mention a little bit more later, after my peers have actually made their lovely introductions. Jeremy, would you like to go next?
Yep. Thanks, Anisha. Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy. I'm currently in my fourth year and I'm majoring in data science and economics as well as a minor in public health. So for me, I took a mixed subject combination in JC with chemistry, math, literature, and economics. Personally, in my free time, I like to read or watch crime and thriller films and novels. And as you can see from my photo, I really like to hike mountains as well. What about you, Hannah?
I'm not a big fan of mountains, but hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm a year two philosophy, politics, and economics major, and I minor in sociology. So, one special topic I took in JC was H2 knowledge and inquiry. I like to cook in my free time, and I also do. So, one of my aesthetic inspirations is actually Wong Kar-wai films. Yeah, so we actually got to analyze a film by him in the NUS program, which our next speaker, Michelle, is also a part of.
Hi everyone, I'm Rochelle, and just like you, I was once a lost kid that had way too many interests in way too many different domains. I was what you would call a science kid, very typical PCME, which I'm sure you're quite familiar with, physics, chemistry, mathematics, and econs. However, I also enjoyed writing poetry on the side. As you'll see later on, CHS turns out to be the perfect place to explore all of these different interests. Let me show you how to map out your personalized NUS experience. So as a CHS student, you can join other special programs like NUS College, the Honors College of NUS, where you're sure to be tested with a rigorous and interdisciplinary curriculum. From learning about the origins of hip hop to the amazing innovations that we can learn from invertebrates, to questioning our primitive concepts of space, time, and matter. The sky is truly the limit when it comes to what you want to learn about. What about you, Anisha? How did you build your CHX experience?
Well, for me, CHS was more than just a degree. It was about the freedom to explore across all disciplines. So it kind of allowed me to make friends from completely different courses, which really enriched my social life here. And on top of that, that flexibility helped me discover what I'm actually good at and more importantly, what I truly care about. So I actually chose psychology because I've always been fascinated by mental processes and helping people through tough times. Plus, I wasn't somebody who was very into the idea of going to med school and spending 10, 15 years in just studying. So I was like, let's go into a different route of things. And, but I also know that I needed a technical edge. So I added a data analytics minor to better understand statistics and kind of boost my employability. My Spanish minor actually started as a fun elective, but it grew into a passion that gives me a global perspective. CHS's common curriculum has 13, I think, interdisciplinary courses, and they really paved the way for me to specialize in criminal and correctional psychology. But don't just actually hear it from me because Hannah actually had some pretty cool CHS experiences. Would you like to take the mic?
Yes, I'm also a part of NUSC, and I got to meet people from all walks of life with very different passions and interests. I think it's been really eye-opening and also insightful to learn more like from and with the people that I live with. I took a lot of like really interesting courses. I think there was one where we went to like a coastline. We went to our coastline border with like Malaysia to do like a site visit. And I think the amount of like knowledge and perspectives I got to pick up, like encouraged me to take up a minor in soci as well. I think I even chose to take like Bahasa Indo recently because one of my courses actually involved a film analysis of an Indonesian film. So I really think that these are experiences that you can't really find like anywhere else, like in the region.
Yep. For me, CHS really provided me with more flexibility, especially in terms of learning different skills and exploring different interests. So starting from my major, DSE is a cross-disciplinary program between the Faculty of Science and the Faculty of Art and Social Sciences. Within this major, you learn economic theory from the economic side, data analysis skills from the math, data science departments, and even some programming skills from the computer science courses. But more importantly, beyond my major, I also had the opportunity to take a lot of courses that I found really interesting, but were not directly related to the major. For example, I took a anatomy course under life science. I can only show this photo because we were not allowed to take photos of the silent mentors and the real bodies and organs. But beyond that, I also took courses in pharmaceutical sciences and forensic science, where we had many guest sharings by forensic pathologists in Singapore, as well as Dr. Henry Lee, who is a globally renowned forensic scientist. What about you, Hannah? What were your experiences in PPE, which is also another cross-disciplinary major?
Well, it's been actually really rewarding. Like I think PPE like allows me to really explore a myriad of academic disciplines. I mean, the name itself is kind of obvious. I think that many current issues now require a very degree of interdisciplinary understanding, especially with how complex our world is getting. So I think PPE kind of helps me in that aspect. And I also realize I find myself applying like very different theories to different subjects now. Like I think I really understand how applicable economics concepts can be when you analyze policies or like even like philosophical thought. So I mean I'm also someone who I really like to immerse myself is firsthand in whatever I study, and I also think that sociology helps a lot in that aspect. So I'm really interested in different cultures and how they can affect like different communities way of life. And so she allowed me to talk to people firsthand. So I think I recently got to interview like a few like Sea Games athletes like right after the game, which was pretty cool. And USC itself also provided me like the platform to study very niche eccentric topics that I don't really think people usually have the time to explore. So in year one, I took a course that analyzed trauma studies through film analysis. And I also took another course that taught us like theories from various political scholars, which I think Jeremy also has probably a lot that he has learned from his teachers.
Yep, thanks, Hannah. So diving deeper into my academic journey, firstly within DSE, I was able to learn and hone many data wrangling analysis skills, as well as quantitative economic theory, and I think maybe some of us may be more familiar, like common programming languages such as R, Python, and Java. So we did a bit of each programming language under different courses. So after we put all of these skill sets together from econs, from data science, from computer science, we can then take on projects that utilize neural networks amongst maybe other machine learning techniques to analyze, to predict things, and also create web applications on a more front-end stage, or even LLMs to actually handle queries using the findings of analysis. So for example, this DST project here was from last year, one of our courses last year, where my team developed a front-end web application. So we put in news articles as inputs, and the output would be to predict trade outcomes between different countries, and the back end is through a neural network model. Moving on to my minor in public health. So there were surprisingly many areas of overlap between the skills I learned in DSE as well as in public health. So for example, there's a lot of data science skills you need to develop models for infectious disease transmissions and statistics skills when you do quantitative research, for example, determining whether a food was the cause of an outbreak. So for one of my public health courses, my group did a transmission model you can see here for dengue transmission to evaluate the effectiveness of introducing Wolbachia mosquitoes as a prevention strategy for dengue. So after taking both my major in DSE and public health, This led to a unique angle for my final year project. So instead of working on digital economy or crypto prediction like most of my DSE classmates, my FYP is actually under the School of Public Health, and it focuses on evaluating vaccination subsidy strategies for mainly primary school children in Japan, so that we can see if we vaccinate a percentage of primary school children, how can it lead to prevention in secondary infections towards the elderly household members, which is our main group of focus. So this form of research actually encompasses both the data aspect when we build the transmission model within the primary school, as well as the economic aspect when we craft a household decision model that will react to changes in vaccine prices. So when we introduce subsidy of $10 versus $20, how much of how much more households will actually choose to vaccinate their children. This integrates my skill set from both the DSE major as well as public health work. Unlike my research though, which is more computer and statistics based, Michelle has more experiences with wet lab experiences and experiments and research as well, right? Please tell us more about them.
Wow, sounds like it has been an incredibly meaningful experience, Jeremy. So for myself, as a woman in STEM, I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to use my knowledge in chemistry to do good. So this pursuit of impact has led me to learning more about polymers, these beautiful branched, beautifully structured macromolecules that have so much use in our everyday lives. So in my research, I explore the ways that we can make our plastic recycling better. The goal is to transform post-consumer plastics back into new products, effectively extending its life cycle. I hope that slowly but surely, everyone can appreciate more about how we can strengthen our circular economy and reduce our environmental impact on the world. So next, we'll hear from Anisha and about how she creates impact in the workplace through her internship experiences.
Thanks, Rochelle. So my internship experiences were incredible because they allowed me to test drive different facets of psychology within the real world. So, for example, my first internship was also my first deep dive into people analytics. So, it taught me how to apply psychological principles into organizational structures and basically just overall understand the professional needs of a workforce. Um, and that was honestly quite insightful um, because I got to see the back end side of things as well. But my internship at NTUC Health at the end of my second year became a sort of turning point because working directly with the seniors helped me develop deep empathy and like criminal, clinical communication. And it proved to me that I wanted a career that was more people or client facing. So my most recent internship that I'm actually still doing part-time allowed me to merge my love for research and mental health advocacy with the concept of client-facing people work. It taught me how to translate complex psychological concepts into accessible content, which is vital for any future therapist. But my experiences are very specific to psychology. Jeremy, I feel like yours seem to be more diverse. Would you care to share?
Yep, thanks, Anisha. So for me, I participated in three internships in total, which each of them actually focusing on different aspect of my academic path. So my first internship in 2022 was more of a general role, where my team organized an event in One North. So it mainly was for startups who were in various industries to actually have the opportunity and platform to showcase their various innovations and their various technologies, so that we can actually help them connect with incubators as well as potential venture capitalists or angel investors. Next, the second internship was more closely tied to my data science background. As you can see, it's a data science division in CHS. And my main task there was actually working on a computer vision algorithm to automate certain manual tasks that they were doing so far, like reading information and calculating data from floor plans such as floor areas, etc. And finally, my most recent internship last year was from my public health minor, where I actually joined the research department in SingHealth Community Hospitals to help them with some of the studies. So we start all the way from data collection when visiting patients either through their wards or going to their houses, all the way to the step where we analyze these obtained quantitative and qualitative data to use for our paper writing. So it was an extremely interesting experience because we were able to merge both a research aspect as well as people interaction. Michelle, what about your internship so far? I heard you even went overseas for some of it.
Wow, it was truly the adventure of a lifetime, Jeremy. So my pursuit of sustainability took me way out of the classroom and to places like Bali and Ho Chi Minh. So as an R&D intern with a sustainable materials startup, I transformed ocean-bound plastics into eyewear, reducing our reliance on raw materials. And not only that, taking a different angle when tackling sustainability in the sunny city of Ho Chi Minh City, I explored ways that two-wheel electric vehicle manufacturers can break into Vietnam's motorcycle-reliant roads. What about you, Jeremy? I heard that you saw some beautiful landscapes in Geneva. Do you want to share more about your experiences?
Yep. Yep. For me, I was really fortunate to participate in the student exchange program to Geneva, Switzerland in 2024. So yes, it was amazing there. And apart from the fun and different lesson styles that you can see there, that the university offered, I also had the chance to travel out to many places of historical, cultural significance, both within Switzerland and also actually the whole of Europe. And lastly, there were plenty of mountains and natural, natural attractions for me to explore and hike. So this is one of them where I hiked, I think, a few days hike. So apart from these specific events, being able to spend 4 to 5 months in a totally foreign environment was really the unforgettable experience so far, for my uni life so far, because I was really able to meet a lot of new people and adapt to a very different culture and way of life. Also, the weather in Europe was a lot more cooling than Singapore. Michelle, which country do you go for overseas exposure?
I went to Indonesia, Thailand, as well as Japan. Actually, I just flew in from Indonesia yesterday. So, being in NUS is really, really happening for everyone, and even for a year four like myself. So, in all of these countries, I saw how different economies can grow sustainably, and even had a chance and opportunity to start up my own social enterprise, co-creating food solutions with a village in Jabrana, Bali. So all of these experiences really gave me quite a meaningful perspective on the world and Singapore. So looking ahead, I'm so excited to build on them and bring together everything that I've done so far. Anisha, what are you looking forward to next?
Good question. I think looking ahead, my goal is probably to weave together everything that I'm doing. So psychology, data analytics, Spanish. After my bachelor's, my main goal is to target roles that are deeply people facing, but also backed by research. So people analytics, talent management, consulting, or even ministry work. And then my next step after that is probably going to be a master's or PhD, hopefully in Europe, maybe in Netherlands, Switzerland, even Spain to gotta hone into that Spanish degree as well. I want to focus on criminal and correctional psychology, as mentioned before, because it's a niche, high impact field that requires an understanding of both human behavior and systemic policy. So, yeah, again, it's 100% my end goal. But if that doesn't happen, there's obviously some backups that are in line, but we don't aim for the backups yet. So ultimately, CHS hasn't just taught me facts, it has built my foundation in critical writing, data literacy, and the sheer adaptability needed to thrive in a global landscape. If I'm not wrong, though, I think there's a slightly different perspective when you throw NUSC into the mix. Hannah, would you mind sharing your experiences with that?
Yeah, I don't think it's because it's honestly considered like a global or international sort of like RC. So for me, I do hope to pursue further studies in like foreign policy and governance. Personally, I'm really interested in geopolitics and policy. So I am looking towards being able to pursue the academic career. But I think just beyond like school and work, I do wish to commit more to foreign career service work in life. But I mean, like I'm only year two, so I think there's still like a really long way to go for me. So yeah. What about you, Jeremy?
For my future plans, I intend to extend from my current experiences in public health, either to pursue directly a Master's of Public Health or in other forms of healthcare related postgraduate degrees. So, for example, in precision medicine or biomedical informatics, which are offered by NUS. And actually, interestingly, both of these are programs that heavily involve statistics and data analytics skill sets that can be applied in various areas of the healthcare sector. So ultimately, I intend to pursue a career in the healthcare sector, either directly in hospitals or either, in research fields as well after my studies. What about your plans, Michelle?
Wow, sounds like it'll be quite a journey for you, Jeremy. So for myself, it's really quite simple. My career pathway is shaped by my goal of pursuing high impact work in sustainability fields and people-centric fields. I hope to pursue a career integrating all of my passions, my skill sets, and my competencies. Wow, seems like all of us has had quite meaningful and fun experiences in NUS. Are there any kind of tips and tricks we would like to share to help our friends ease into their university lives?
Of course. So for incoming students, we have some advice to maximize your university experience. Academics wise, we would suggest to explore your interest early, especially in CHS, with access to such a large variety of possible fields, and at the first 2 years where the academic workload is still relatively lower. Also, seniors will be very important sources of advice in terms of what courses to take to create your own academic journey in terms of your specialization and your interests, and in also sharing their own career experiences and advice. Outside of academic, however, I strongly encourage keeping an eye out for new interest groups or activities beyond what you might be familiar with in your previous schools. Because NUS has a lot of very niche and very interesting CCAs, some of which might be up your alley. Hannah, what did you participate so far in NUS and NUS College?
Well, wow, I think only my like I'm only here for like I've only been here for 2 years, but I really think I did way more than I did. I think I did way more here than I ever did in my entire life. Like past 2 years, I was house captain for affairs. I took up leadership roles in PPE as well as NESC. I think I really came out of my comfort zone from here. And I think going to uni, a key mindset that I had was that like it was never that deep. I think uni is like the last period of your life before you really enter the working world. So I would say like you should make your most out of it. You won't really get to have this much whimsy ever again. And I also think that all these commitments, even though it made me really busy, it really helped with my character building. So I really don't regret it.
Ah, that's a lot. It seems like you're doing a lot, and wow, must be quite busy. And um, really proud of you for being able to juggle everything. So for me, there's two pieces of advice I'd like to share. First one is to be unafraid. I know it sounds a lot easier than it is done, but oftentimes the biggest challenge you must face is to overcome your fears, firstly. Another important piece of advice would be try to figure out which things spark joy for you. um, Even as I'm graduating, I'm still constantly learning new things. I'm still constantly trying new things for myself. My latest hobby is playing spike ball. If you'd like to go and Google what it looks like, it's played with a trampoline, and I've never done anything quite like it before. What about you, Anisha?
Oh, Rochelle's backbone sounds so unique. I'd love to hear more about that later. But honestly, I feel like everyone has really nicely summarized the best advice that we can give. So there's not much I can add, so I'll just keep mine short and hone into what everyone else has already said. So first, like everyone has already mentioned, it's completely okay to feel a little lost when you first step onto campus. Everyone does, which is why you should try everything that you can in year one. Don't just, pack your bags and head home after class or head back to your dorm. Talk to people, go for events, like Rochelle said, don't be afraid. Sometimes all you really need to do is just sit outside one of the coffee shops like Starbucks or in the canteen working, and you'll have people coming up to you asking if they can share the table. And you can always strike up a conversation there. In CHS, your greatest asset is your ability to become adaptable and open, whether it's diving into a minor that you never thought you'd take, or joining a student life group that feels totally out of your comfort zone. Just do it. If you're willing to explore and stay curious, CHS is the perfect launch pad for who you want to become. Okay. I think overall our stories today have hopefully shown you that university can be a space to be unafraid of the unfamiliar, whether you want to provide therapy, explore diplomacy, data science, or chemistry like my peers. CHS is where those interests can collide. With that, we want to hear from you. So whether you have questions about our specific course combinations, how we managed our internships, or just, what life really is like on campus, we're here to help. So please, any questions? Okay, looks like we've got one. How much should I devote myself to the student societies and make the most of it? I'm concerned, at least in my first year, I may not have time. Hannah, would you like to answer that? Because I feel like with you being in year two, it might be closer to the thing, and then everyone can give their experiences after.
Like juggling like between like schoolwork and like my commitment. I think
Yeah.
well, I would say like I think I really struggled with that my first year, but I think it was I don't think you should like I don't think anyone would have it figured out in like your first year because I mean you're really navigating a very new environment that I feel like it's really different from like tertiary education or like JC, Poly, ITE. I think it's very, very different. I think I reached out a lot to my friends and the people I work with, and I think slowly you generally just reach an equilibrium after a while. Yeah. And yeah, and I think whatever experiences you gain while like sort of committing to all these like extra curriculars do help with your own academics in some aspect. Yeah.
Like to add on, or Jeremy?
Maybe I'll just add a bit. I think it's a very, very, very valid concern. And from my experience, a lot of my friends in year one, we do generally spend more time in the student societies. Also because in CHS and NUS in general, there are a lot of especially in year one and year two, there are a lot of assistance provided by the universities to actually help us. Well, you might know about the SU policy and stuff, or in terms of how they actually organize the courses. So it helps us both get used to university's pacing while allowing us to have enough free time with these mods to actually still spend a sufficient amount of time in student societies. So don't be too afraid because of your academic concerns, then you don't sign up for societies at the start. You should sign up for them first, and then from there on, you can decide how much time you want to allocate to each of them.
If maybe I'll add on a little bit as well. I think over the course of 4 years, my schedule and my life has always been very, very happening. I think the question kind of Wei was asking about, how do you uh, how do you uh, do other things if you may not have enough time. But I think in university, it's such a packed, such a um, very packed 4 years, and you will likely not have time. So what you need to do as a student is to make time. So it's really trying to figure out um, what things do you want to explore the most? What kind of new activities do you want to experience? What kind of leadership roles do you want to sort of learn more about? Um, and uni just provides kind of the best pathway for all of these things because you don't pursue only one thing at a time. You pursue everything all at once. So I know there might be some anxiety in how do you manage it as a student, as a year one coming in, but rest assured that um, you are you are able to chart your own pathway. You have the capacity to do it, as well as there are a lot of support from people around you. And so together with these two things, it's really uh, you will I trust that you'll be able to make time for all of these different things. All the best.
Sorry. Thank you guys. So the next question is, would you suggest declaring major early or figuring out what you want next? Jeremy, would you like to take this one?
Yep. So, just a bit of context. I didn't change my major, so that's really not really. But I think within CHS, one of the perk is you get to change your major within either you can select either from the science faculty or the arts faculty throughout your until your start of year three. So for 4 semesters, you actually get to select and change your major. I wouldn't say at will, but after close consideration, you can actually change your major. For me, I didn't change my major, but I changed my minors a lot of time. So as I shared, I took life science mods, I took forensic science mods, I took pharmaceutical science mods, as well as public health mods, and a few other mods. So that was all during the exploration phase where I was deciding whether to continue with a specific minor or not. So I took 1 to 2 of the introductory courses and then see if maybe this is something that I was interested in, but I don't think I will spend more courses in. And then I just stopped and I went to another major. So I ended with public health. So for major, I think it is quite similar. Although you might declare a major when you apply to NUS or CHS at the start. Um, for example, if you apply to a psychology or economics, you might be still interested in the other. So what we really recommend is to take the other introductory modules at the start of the year one as well. So you can actually have a taste of what each of these majors are like. And then you can decide maybe at the end of your year one or start of year two to actually then commit to a major and go deeper into them. Please explore more. I think it's really important because you get the liberty to explore a lot of introductory courses at the start.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, so the next question is specifically for Hannah and Rochelle. So what are your experiences like with the residential life and modules in NUSC? Hannah, would you like to start? And then we can move on to Rochelle.
Okay, I think it's, I feel like PPE and NUSC have like a lot of like combining factors. So typically if you like and if you like what PPE offers, you would like what NUSC offers. Because I think both institutions are kind of like very interdisciplinary in nature. So for me, um I was in okay, I think I'll start with academics. So I really enjoyed, I think I mentioned just now I took a mod about like trauma studies and film analysis. And it was really fun. I wrote about like first generation Asian American trauma through everything I read all at once. And I think topics like subjects like this kind of, especially in NUSC, they kind of let you explore what you're interested in, or things that you're like, it's like kind of your niche. And they sort of link that to things that can be relevant to what you study. Or it doesn't even be relevant to what you study. It could just be like things that you just want to explore more of. Yeah. And moving on to like the non-academic side, I was I was in house committee in year one. And then in year two, I joined historical care. So I'm an event director there. And I think a lot of the things that I picked up from these like extra stuff was obviously like how to like juggle and whatnot. But also I think it was one of the main sources of like the friends that I've made and people who I still am really close to and who I still talk to today. So I really think RCs like really provide a lot of these opportunities, which I don't think you can get like staying off campus and whatnot. I'm not saying that you can't stay off campus, but I mean if you really do want to connect with people very deeply, I think RCs are a good way to start because I don't know if this is like I'm gonna choose a common knowledge, but Tembusu, CAT, RC4 and RBRC all center around a central theme. So you tend to meet people whose views and passions align with you. Yeah. Michelle?
I think I'll start with the academic part as well. I managed to take a lot of niche, I would say niche kind of mods, exploring things which I may not necessarily be interested at first. But for example, I think a year ago I took this module about the rise of hip hop from America to Asia. So and you know, personally, my experiences with hip hop have just been following Drake's journey. It's been not a very deep dive into the entire culture. It was really through the artists, um, and being able to take certain modules like that and really expand my worldview on um, what are other cultures doing out there, and um, how are they different from me being positioned in Singapore. Um, I think it's really, I think at least for NUSC, it broadens your worldview and um, teaches you more about how do you handle all of these world issues very delicately. Yeah. Um, as for residential life, I think similar to Hannah, she talked a lot. She talked a bit about her experiences, leadership experiences. I think I had quite a similar route. So I did house committee when I was year one. I did community life when I was year two. Still doing things in the community as an interest group head in year three and year four. So I think for myself, the main joy in being in NUSC is being able to take all sorts of interest groups and being able to join whatever committees, whatever interests, or whatever groups that I want to. Yeah, I think that's how I would describe my NUSC experience.
Thank you guys. Okay, moving on. Jeremy, since we've heard from Hannah and Michelle, would you like to talk about how you've managed time between academic and outdoor activities?
Yep, for sure. I think for me, I didn't share much about CCH just now, but I started a new CC similar to Bishra, actually, I started a new CCA almost every year. So in year two, I joined dance synergy, and then year three, I after my exchange, I did basketball, and now I'm doing more academic clubs. So quite a bit of varying commitments in, I hope that's you classify as outdoor activities. I'm still generally taking more than 5 mods a sem as well. So I really think that everybody has a different aspect or different understanding of how to manage their time, and they have different preferences of how they want to study as well. So for me, my year one sem one was really more challenging because I was still trying to figure out the balance between outdoor activities and how to expect what to expect for university courses as well. Because I think the academic part really comes from acclimatizing and getting used to how university works. So your year one sem one, most people will feel a bit more challenging because of this learning curve. But I think after the first 2 semesters, you actually get a much better understanding of how you can approach and cope well in the academic side. And generally, I do think that as long you don't take too many outdoor activities, inter-societies, or extra commitments, it is very reasonable. Like the curriculum and the workload you are always able to fit maybe 1 or 2 extracurricular activities within your semester quite reasonably. Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, the next question is the difficulty level on all disciplines, across all disciplines. I think I can help answer that one as well. So, I mean, of course, it's going to be difficult if you're more of a science person and then you have to do an arts course. It's going to be more difficult to acclimatize to that because it's not your strong suit. But I think that is why it's such a good thing because even like, for example, if you're a hardcore science student and you have to write a 2,000 word argumentative essay on like an arts module, it's obviously going to be a shift. You can't rely on your structured problems and formulas. But the best part is, and you're being greater on nuance, but the thing is that the reverse is also true. So if you're from humanities, you have to face coding, statistics, scientific reasoning, whatever else there is. But again, I wouldn't say that it's impossible. It's difficult, but in a productive way, if that makes sense. Like the struggle would usually come from adjusting to a different way of thinking, but then that becomes an asset to you further on. It's not because the content is unmanageable, it's because you have to train your brain into thinking a different way. And that's also a great part about CHS is that you have the options. So within the science module, there'll be some core modules that you have to take, and then the elective ones that you have to take within the curriculum, you have a variety of options from things like astronomy to like criminal justice. It's honestly quite fun. There was even a module that I took which was basically about the importance of play, and the first half of the semester you learned about animals and how they play in the wild, and then the second half you learned how to play poker. So it's quite a dichotomy, which is why I do think that it's difficult but manageable. And honestly, it would be beneficial overall. Okay, let's move on really quickly because I think we're going to run out of time soon. So, do you feel restricted by having less unrestricted electives when you take cross-disciplinary programs? Rochelle, would you like to answer this one?
So for myself, something I didn't share previously was, when I first came in, I was actually gunning for a pharmaceutical science major, which is very, very different from how I've charted my path now. I previously took the introductory mod for pharmaceutical science, and somewhere along the way, I realized that maybe my charting my whole journey in the science field wasn't quite for me, and so that's why I took up things like I took up English studies, I took up English linguistics, where I was really able to get a better grasp of languages and understand the rules that govern, how we speak, how we articulate things, and maybe if I could share a little bit about what I find similar in chemistry and in formal linguistics specifically, is that it I know just now we previously categorized things as, this is a very science thing, this is a very arts thing, but this is where I want to challenge everyone here to think more broadly of it. Um, there are certain things that are common to these two. It's that kind of analytical, structured thinking, knowing, what components make what molecules and what words make what sentences. These are all understanding how these rules are governed um, helps us to better communicate better, helps us to better um, learn helps us to learn more about the world we live in, not only through a science lens, but also a more nuanced, a fuller picture in the humanities lens. I don't think that I feel restricted at all. If in fact I feel quite liberated in the sense that I can take whatever modules I want to take. I can learn whatever little interesting things I want to learn. Yeah. So I think you shouldn't worry too much about this, because you might not figure it out immediately, as a year one coming. I still took pharmaceutical science, but I trust that somewhere along the way, you will realize what things you care about most, and you're able to pursue those things still. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is about academic support. Hannah, would you like to take this?
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll tie this to like the previous session about like the cross-disciplinary programs as well. Because I think for XDPs in particular, I think one lucky part about it is that at least I think, if I'm not wrong, for DSE as well, the student community is really small, it's very tight with classes. So um at least for PPE club, I'm not sure if like, it's the same, but we understand that because of XDPs, it takes up a lot of your unrestricted electives, and because of that, I think it's quite difficult to map courses that you want to map or you want to take out of like purely for the love of the game. So for that, usually, yearly, like the club will actually take in offers or like sign-ups of people to offer what courses they want included in the syllabus. So I think that kind of reduces the issue of like limited unrestricted electives, because you can communicate the pros what you want to take that you feel is relevant to what you do. And then for academic support, okay, I can only answer for the first side, but at least for PPE and NUSC, we do have mentorship programs where you will be attached to a mentor that can guide you through what you like, stuff like mapping syllabus and stuff. And for first side, they're actually beginning a new sort of like concept or event where they can pair you up with a senior in your course, or not even from your course, but like taking similar modules as you, and it could be like a tutor system. So I think that is a lot of academic support, and you can always email like the FAS office if you have difficulties understanding what your syllabus entails or requires. Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay, so we're gonna quickly move on to our, I think, last question since we're running out of time. Um, let's move on to the burnout question. So have you ever gotten burnout or stress from academic life, and how do you solve it? I feel like all of us would have different experiences and different ways of handling this. Of course, stress and burnout is a huge part of academic life, especially when there's so much going on, when you have to have social life plus, academic life plus societies and CCAs. It can get a lot. I think one of the best things to do is to have an outlet for it. So have people you can talk to your friends, keep yourself disengaged sometimes. Um, make sure you're doing things that you really like along with all of the academic stuff that you have to do so that it's not too daunting for you. And maybe just, I mean, this is something that everyone's going to say, and you're going to hear this for the next 4, 5, 6 years of your life, is to manage your time well and to like organize everything. It's a very generic thing to say, but honestly, it really helps. Whichever way you want to. If you're someone who works better with putting 5, 6 different alarms to like set a time for, okay, this is what I'm going to study this for, blah, blah, blah. Or if you prefer doing a to-do list, okay, this is a to-do list for the rest of the day. This is what I have to check off for today. Making a calendar schedule. Okay, this is how I'm going to plan out my day, everything. Honestly, it really helps. But I'd love to hear how everyone, like the rest of my peers, also handle this. So maybe we can start with Rochelle and then go to Jeremy, then Hannah, and then we can end off.
For myself, I don't think I've ever. Sorry, the reasons for burnout is not only just because of academic life. It's kind of the culmination of everything everything happening together, and culminating in this very busy schedule. I think the question really asks about how do we solve it, but I think I don't have a definite answer for that. I think that even as I'm graduating, even if I'm still working, stresses will continually crop up. This is a sort of a fact of a matter of life. But what I can say is that you definitely get better at managing it. You definitely develop a stronger, larger capacity for in your ability to handle more things, more concurrent things. For myself, uh, I think having a strong support system is very important, and I think I found that in both my family as well as my peers, and a lot of them are um, not only geographically close to me, but also um, there is I think we've developed quite a close connection, and they're able to help me and hear me out when things get hard, and yeah. Um, but if this is a concern, um, I think it is a fair concern, but do trust that, for example, at NUS, in terms of resources, we also have uh, the university counseling services. We have things like Intellect, which is a mental health service provider as well. So there's definitely a lot of support from students if you're very worried about, how do you tell your friends about this kind of sensitive problems. There are other support systems that we have in place as well in the university. If anyone else would like to share how you deal with, the stresses of the university life.
Yep, I think most of my inputs are, I will echo Rachel's points in that honestly, you will face you will face a lot of stress, and there will be periods throughout your semester where there will be a lot more stress. And after having done 7 to 8 semesters, we can also tell you that it's not something that after you maybe get through it 2 to 3 times, it will not happen again. I think every time you take a different set of combination of modules, they still come, they still appear to you in different ways. But as you just said, you get less surprised by this and you get more prepared in combating them. There will always be high stress periods throughout your semester, no matter how many mods you take or how many extracurriculars you have. And it's really about after we overcome the first 1 or 2 times, it's about building self-confidence and being more prepared in tackling the next area of stress. So although the stress may stay the same or increase every semester, but you get more and more well equipped to deal with it and less uh scared by it as well. And I think the support system she mentioned is really true. Like a lot of times where you feel like you don't feel motivated to do anything and you think of um shortcuts or easy way outs. I think that's where your support system and through your friends, especially your peers who are taking similar modules or in similar majors, can really serve as a strong support and anchor system for you.
Yeah, I think there's someone also asked about support for like people with like maybe like people who need extra support with like maybe sort of like health like conditions that they may have, like the Q&A. I think like I wouldn't want to repeat whatever Jeremy and Michelle said about it's very normal. And I also think that it's like a pattern where in year one and year two, I think those would be like at least from what I have from seniors, it's usually the worst 2 years of their life because you sign up for everything, you do all your work, and then you regret it after. But I think in year three, year four, you start to see that like it was pretty worth it, like you have fun. I think it's very part like facing this overwhelming feeling is very part and parcel of university life because it's a place where you're like fresh and exposed like all this like activities. And I think for extra support regarding like ADHD or like other issues, you can write into like the school and they will help you with like exams set like maybe like extra exam conditions and stuff like that. And also again Intellect, which is like an online platform and it's free. Use university counseling services and your friends will usually your main pillar of support, especially if you're living on campus, because they understand what you're going through because they are going through it. And I think there is something very heartwarming about stressing with all your friends together. And I think it builds character. Yes.
Thank you. I think now we'll pass it back to Amy, who will end the session for us. And if you guys have any other questions, please come down on 7th March for our in-person open house, and all your questions can be answered there as well. Over to you, Amy.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for sharing so freely with us today, and we're definitely looking forward to all the exciting things that you guys will be doing in future. So for everyone here, thank you for joining us today. Like Anisha said, if you still have questions for your seniors, do join us at the NUS Open House next Saturday. Okay, and now before you go, could we trouble you to answer the questions that have appeared on the screen to give us your feedback for this session? And also just to let you guys know, some of the CHS disciplines will be holding talks later today. So make your way to the schedule page at chs.nus.edu.sg/OH2026 to look out for the sessions that you're interested in and join the talks. Okay, that page is also where you can look up programs that set up on campus next on Saturday as well. With that, we conclude this morning sessions for the CHS at NUS Open House 2026 and have a wonderful day ahead and see you next Saturday.